Hello everyone, welcome to Lab 3. In this lab we'll be looking at different disk configurations for Windows Server 2008 R2. In total there's 4 exercises in this lab. The first 2 exercises are actually long answers, so you'll be just typing your answers in. You won't be using the VM for those. So this first one walks you through a situation where you have to calculate the number of disks that would be needed to set this particular configuration up in a RAID 5. Exercise 2 it has you look out on the internet for some information on solid state disk. So what we're going to focus on in the video is exercises 3 and 4. And if you read through these before we get started, you'll see what we're doing is just setting up new disk in Windows Server. To do this, we're going to need to connect a second hard drive, and if we peek ahead, we can see that in exercise 4, we're going to need to connect a third hard drive. Anytime we connect a new hard drive to a VM, we need to do that when the VM is not powered on. So we're going to go ahead and do that now to save us a step. So go ahead and open up your VirtualBox Manager. You want to make sure that your VM is powered off, so even if it's in a saved state, you'll have to turn that back on and then shut it down. Once that's done, you can go ahead and go into Settings. Click on the Storage tab. And what we want to do is come down here and click on this little plus icon. It looks like a floppy disk kinda. You click on that and go to Add Hard Disk and then Create New Disk. So again, we can choose the defaults here, VDI and dynamically allocated. And we do not need a big disk for this, so in the directions I had mentioned that I created mine at 1 gigabyte just to keep things even. So we'll create that. Oh, it's saying I already have one because I ran through this earlier. So let's create this as new virtual disk A. And we'll do one more, same way, as new virtual disk B. And we'll create it with 1 gigabyte. Okay, so underneath your storage tree, you should see those 2 disks, both of them. The virtual size is 1 gigabyte, and due to the dynamic allocation, they're only 2 megabytes in size right now. So we'll click OK there, and then we can go ahead and start up our server. Alright, so while that's loading up, let's jump back over here and take a look at the directions. What we want to do is initialize a second hard drive with a GPT table. After that, we want to create a new simple volume that takes up half of the available space and format that as drive letter L. We'll take a screenshot of that in the disk management MMC, and we'll also take a screenshot of it from my computer showing that L drive. And then we'll finish up by expanding that drive to take up the rest of the available space, taking a screenshot of it again in the disk management MMC, showing that it's taking up all of that space, and then we'll delete the volume. Okay, so coming over here, what we want to do is you can close out of the initial configuration task and you can close out a server manager. We want to go into Start, Administrative Tools, and Computer Management. Once that comes up, you'll see that there is a storage node, and underneath that storage node is our disk management MMC. So when that pops up, we'll see our 2 disks down here, and if we right click on disk 1 and bring it online, we'll see that it's not initialized. So let's right click on it and click Initialize Disk, and we wanted to do that as a GPT table rather than an MBR. So we'll click OK there. Then what we want to do is right click in this unallocated area, and we want to create a new simple volume. So our simple volume, we want it to take up half the size. It doesn't necessarily have to be half of this 990. We know that there was originally 1 gigabyte. So I'm going to make mine be 512 megabytes. We'll click Next. And we want to assign it to drive letter L. So Next again. Format, the defaults is NTFS, so this is good. We can give this a volume label like simple volume. Click Next and then Finished. So what we'll see here is that our color has changed a little bit. This is now blue, indicating that it's a primary partition. We see the other half of our disk is still unallocated with 480 megabytes left. We also see that this new simple volume has been labeled as drive L. In addition to that, up here at the top we see drive L listed in our volumes. And if we go to my computer, we'll see drive L here as well, and we can use this as if it was any other hard drive. So the next thing we wanted to do is go ahead and extend this to take up the rest of the available space on the disk. So to do that, we'll right click on it, click extend volume. We just want for it to take up what is available, and it's already figured out that that's the rest of disk 1, 478 megabytes. So we don't have to take up the whole space if we wanted to, but per the directions we do want to. So we'll leave this at 478, click next, and then finished. So now what you see is we have simple volume L. You'll notice that it's now taking up all of the space. There's nothing unallocated. We can see that the capacity is the full 990 megabytes, and we see this. Let's give this a refresh, and we see the same thing over here on my computer. Okay, so once you have that, to finish up exercise 3, we just want to go ahead and delete this volume, and now we have it back to unallocated. So let's jump back and take a look at exercise 4. That has us starting off by connecting that third hard drive, which we already did. Then we want to initialize that third hard drive as a GPT disk. We'll convert disk 1 and 2 from basic disk to dynamic disk. That's what allows us to perform the software RAID configurations. So we'll want to take a screenshot of that. From there we'll create a new striped volume using disk 1 and 2, and we'll assign it drive letter S. Okay, so jumping back over here, we want to, I guess first let's go ahead and bring disk 2 online. Once it's online, we'll see it's not initialized, so we will initialize it to GPT. From there we can convert both of these disks to dynamic disks, so just right click on the disk itself and convert. In here we can save a step by checking disk 2 as well and clicking OK. You'll notice that where it was saying basic, it's now switched to dynamic, and we can right click in this unallocated area for either one and create a new striped volume. Okay, so it wants to know what disk do we want in this striped volume group, and we want disk 1 and 2. So the amount of space is going to be the total space here, 990. We'll click next. We want to assign this drive letter S, and we can give this a volume label like stripe volume. We did want to format it as an NTFS file system, so we can click next and finished. So what you'll see here is that now there is no unallocated space on these disks, and the color has changed to this teal color that indicates it's a stripe volume. You'll notice that both of these disks had the same volume label of an S, and if we look up here at our volumes, we'll see that the stripe volume S is just seen as one volume that takes up 1.93 gigabytes, so roughly 2 gigabytes, the size of both of those disks. If we jump back over here to my computer, we'll also see the same thing reflected, that both of those disks have been joined together and are shown as one logical volume that we can access and store things on as if it was a single hard disk. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed the lab. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And if not, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.